Paris is a city known for its beauty, its sights, its cafes, and overall its idyllic lifestyle. However, on November 13th of last year, a series of attacks brought the City of Love into a city of devastation. 130 people were murdered and a further 368 people were injured when gunmen targeted various locations such as cafes, restaurants, and a music venue in central Paris. Just hours before the devastation that swept the streets of Paris, another attack had occurred in the world that claimed the innocent lives of 43 people. A double suicide attack tore through a bustling urban area in Beirut, Lebanon, that devastated masses of families whose loved ones were just going about their normal evening business. For some people in Beirut, that fear and sadness was also mixed with the anguish over that Paris received a global outpouring of sympathy. Monuments around the world lit up with the tricolours of the French flag. Facebook offered users a one-click option to overlay their profile pictures with the French colours, which was a commemorative service that was not created for the Beirut national colours. When the news broke out of the attacks in Lebanon, 443 media outlets wrote about it at least once in the first 30 hours. During the same amount of time, when the Paris attacks reached the news, 4,507 media outlets wrote about it around the world. The coverage saturation of the 500 most popular media outlets in the world showed that in the same 30 hours after both attacks, 51% of them wrote about Paris and left just 11% of their time to share the news of Beirut. Many readers around the world picked up on this lack of balance and took to social media to express their views. Comments like this lead to a worldwide debate on why the Paris attacks received much greater coverage than the Beirut attacks. Unfortunately, journalists that produce content online cannot operate in a vacuum. Doing what they think is right without the modern day pressures of being put on them may dictate the stories they choose to create. Many online readers do not want to pay for the news that they read, leading editors to rely on advertising to create some sort of income. Advertisers are only interested in news sites that generate a good flow of readership.
It makes for I wouldn't say uncertain future, but there's a degree of uncertainty about where we're going in the future. We rely on advertising for the paper to be published. I mean, but we write the stories that we believe the community wants to hear, because the fact of the matter is the advertisers are only going to want to put their ads where there's stories that people want to read. If their ad's next to a story that someone wants to read, then they will happily have their ad there.
In South Africa about 10 years ago, there was an oil spill and a lot of penguins were killed, and there was this big international response, we must save the penguins. And I remembered that a young black child, someone did up a poster of a young black child who tipped oil over itself, and the caption at the bottom was, "Now will you pay attention to me?" So images are very, very powerful and can be the breakthrough spark that gets more coverage of something.
If you take a closer look at the trending hashtags of when the events occurred, the Pray for Paris hashtag, as well as the hashtag Paris, performed roughly at 99 posts per minute, while hashtags like Pray for Beirut was lucky to get 2 posts per minute.
More people are likely to travel to Europe and Paris. I think it's a place that a lot of Australians really love to go to, and they probably more chance that they had family and friends there at the time. So they're probably worried about checking that their family and friends are alright, checking that a place that they really love to go to and connect with hasn't been too damaged, and the people there are okay, compared to, I don't think many people are really interested in travelling to the Middle East at the moment, so they're not really as concerned about the city and the people there. The whole Middle East has kind of been everyone kind of looks at that as just a huge war zone, I think, and anything that happens there is kind of just all part of the war, so any new bombings or attacks or anything is all just part of the massive conflict that's happening in the Middle East, whereas one thing that happens in France that's so separated from that is kind of seems more like a personal attack, I suppose, and it's just kind of so out of the blue. But yeah, it is a shame that we don't empathise on the same level but it's kind of just the reality, unfortunately. Yeah, so definitely the audience has a lot more power to determine what kind of stories become really big stories. I think that if I saw an article about another bombing in Beirut compared to an article about a bombing in, say, another major European country, I would probably scroll past the Beirut one and look at the European one. Just because we have become quite desensitised to anything that happens in the Middle East, we kind of push it aside as just the whole Middle East conflict that's going on.